our webinar. Good morning to you all. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'd like for us to kickstart the webinar. I think we have quorum, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining. We are starting off right now, a few minutes after time. I apologize for the delay, but we will ensure that within the rest of the time, we'll have enough content to make it worth your while. So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Salma Nashiboneka Katamba, and I am the Business Development Manager at the Uganda Securities Exchange. And I would like to thank you very much for joining us for another series of these webinars that are aimed at increasing your knowledge and awareness about the best options for making your money work for you. This morning's topic is diversifying your investment portfolio with government securities. And just to define what diversification is to our audience before we get into the full gist of the discussion. Diversification is a technique that reduces risk by allocating investments among various investment instruments. You could diversify according to sectors, if you're especially in the equities space, and many other categories with the whole aim of maximizing the return by investing in different areas that should each react differently to changes in market conditions. The Uganda Securities Exchange vision is to be Uganda's preferred institution for investments and sourcing of capital. And in line with our vision, we are working and we continue to work towards ensuring that investors on the platform have access to various investment products. And with this same spirit, we are making sure that you're able to trade government securities on our platform. And what this means is that investors will be able to have a view of both their equity portfolio and their government securities portfolio on our Easy Portal platform, as the different speakers will highlight later on. We have partnered with one of the leading commercial banks in Uganda, Centenary Bank, to organize this webinar, which aims at giving you a clear understanding of what government securities are and how you can access the trading or access these investment instruments through the USE platform. So each of our panelists will take us through their presentations, but at the tail end of this session, we'll have a Q&A slot where the participants on the call will be able to ask particular questions. During the sessions or as the different panelists present, please feel free to use the Q&A tabs and also the chat tab on your end to ask any questions that may arise, and the panelists will address them. Of course, if you're on Twitter, you can also follow the conversation on Twitter across both the Centenary Bank platform and also the USE platform on Twitter. I'd like for us to get into the discussion without any further ado. Of course, we have lined up the best of the best. We have a stellar lineup of panelists that will ensure that at the end of this session, you have a clear understanding of how you can benefit from investing in government securities and above all, get started immediately. So to start us off, I'd like to invite our first speaker. He is the General Manager of Financial Markets Department at Centenary Bank. He has a wealth of experience, over 13 years working experience dealing in treasury products at various banks in Uganda and North America. And he is also a registered representative with the National Association of Securities Dealers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Benoni Okwenje to take us through his presentation. Benoni?
Thank you.
We'll put up your presentation.
Thank you so much. Are you going to broadcast?
Yes, please.
Okay. Great. No, thanks. Thank you for that intro. And thank you to the Uganda Securities Exchange for putting this together. like I always say in all the forums that I'm a part of, anything that can promote investments, savings. As you know, in Uganda, we have a very poor savings culture. So anything that can build awareness around, increasing savings and investments is very welcome. So what I'm going to do as far as my presentation is just really just talk about what are government securities. So you can go to the next slide. Should I try and share on my side? I don't see it. Is the presentation?
Yeah, sorry, Benani. I'm going to, let me put it back up.
Okay, because I can also try and share. Is that okay?
You could go ahead and share.
Yeah, let me share. Let me share from mine. Is it visible? Yeah?
Yes, Benani, it's visible.
It's visible, right? Okay,
yes,
great.
Please proceed.
Perfect. Okay, so.
True.
Okay, great. So let me. All right. Okay, so what are government securities? Government securities are instruments that are issued by government that enables them to borrow from the investing public. So the question you want to ask is, why is government borrowing anyway? So we know that the role of government is to run countries, is to provide goods and services for the population, build infrastructure, you name it. So we know that in the middle of June every single year, the Ministry of Finance addresses the public, where he talks about how government is going to spend money and how government is going to earn money. Now, the main source of funding the government gets is through taxes that are collected through Uganda Revenue Authority. If you look at the amount of taxes that are collected, they can probably cover between 60 and 70% of the total budget. So the question is, how does government now make up that deficit? One way that we know is through loans that they get from multilateral agencies like the World Bank. They also have bilateral loans from countries like China and what have you, and they also receive grants. But still, there's still a budget deficit in terms of what government wants to spend and the cash that they have. So this is where they issue these instruments that they do borrow from the investing public and they pledge to pay interest on. These government securities are in two main forms. They are in treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills being more short-term, treasury bonds being long-term. Generally, they borrow these, they issue these instruments for what is called fiscal purposes. So when you look at fiscal policy is where government spends and earns money. There's also something that is, I guess, somewhat of a byproduct of them issuing these instruments is it prevents an investment option for the public. It also kind of helps boost our capital markets. But even from government's perspective, it's a way of liquidity management, which I guess would tie in more to monetary policy. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. So we can look now, go into the specifics of what are treasury bills, what are treasury bonds. So treasury bills, like I said, are short-term, specifically for 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year investments, which is actually issued as 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day. These are electronically issued and kept at the central bank, at Bank of Uganda, in what is called the Central System of Depository. Now, these are zero coupon bearing, meaning that there are only two main cash flows for treasury bills. Day one, when you lend government the money, where your account is debited, and then the second cash flow is after the investment period elapses. Say it's 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, you get your principal plus interest, okay? That is treasury bills, more short-term, only two main cash flows. Treasury bonds, on the other hand, are more long-term. These are issued in tenors of 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year. Actually, last year in December, government issued via private placement the first 20-year treasury bond to the market, which is very well received. I suspect that in the next fiscal year, beginning July, they're going to formalize that tenor, that 20-year bond as an official benchmark for the market. But anyway, like I mentioned, bonds are more long-term. Now, bonds work almost exactly like treasury bills in the sense that they have the two cash flows. But there's a third cash flow, which is called a coupon, all right? And it kind of makes sense because these investments are more long-term. As an investor, because you're putting your money away for a longer period, you would want periodic interest. And that is exactly what a coupon is. This is a payment that the investor receives every 182 days. So let's take a 2-year bond, for example. Day one, you give government, say, whatever amount, 100 million, whatever it is. In 6 months, you get a coupon payment. 6 months after that, you get a coupon payment. 6 months after that, you get a coupon payment. And then upon maturity, at the end of the 2 years, you get your principal, interest, plus the last coupon payment. So really, those are the main difference between treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills are short-term, not coupon-bearing. Treasury bonds are long-term, and they include a 6-month coupon. Now, advantages of government securities. Really, I mean, I could talk all day about them. I think the advantages are many. The first and obvious one is they are low. They're almost risk-free. Why? Because they are issued by government, 100% backed by government. Government pledges to pay you back your principal plus interest. In this region, it's very rarely that you see governments default on their debt. So, you know, they are definitely less riskier than, say, if you're lending to another individual. They are extremely liquid investments. We know that in Uganda, many people, I think intuitively, when it comes to invest, turn to real estate. Real estate is not what you call a liquid investment. You know, real estate, you're playing the long ball. With government securities, you can buy today, sell tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. And because they're 100% backed by government, they're really, really liquid and as good as cash, which ties into the other advantage is they're tradable. They're tradable in the secondary market, buy today, sell tomorrow, and you can actually arbitrage on the interest rate, depending on where you sit. These, again, tied in to it being backed by government. If push came to shove and say things, the market went haywire, Bank of Uganda will directly give you back your money if you go to them with your government securities. As long as the government securities have 91 days or less, then they will actually give you back your money, even without having to trade in the secondary market. The other, which Salma touched upon, and which is really the theme, one of the themes of this webinar, is they provide diversification of your investments. I've talked about real estate and other things. People like to invest in all sorts of things. Government securities, because of the risk-free nature, because of the liquid nature of them, make the perfect diversification investment for you, something to add into your portfolio. The other thing I mentioned in my opening remarks, they provide a savings mechanism. As Ugandans, we don't save enough. I think if you used any benchmark, say savings per capita or savings as a percentage of GDP, Uganda as a country in the region, we are the lowest. And that's why forums like this are extremely important to get Ugandans to save more and just understand the different investment options that they have. So definitely these provide a really good savings option for you. The other obvious, especially now more than ever before, is the returns are so attractive. You know, 91 day, you're looking at a rate of 7%, 6 months, 10%, 1 year, a shade under 12%. You know, when you go longer, on the longer end of the curve, 2 years, 13%, you know, 15 year, 10 years, 16%. These are comparatively really high returns and risk-free. So, and I don't know how many other investment options you have that can give you that sort of return and it being risk-free, but also being liquid at the same time. Another advantage of investing in these instruments is collateral. So if you wanted to go and get a loan from a commercial bank, banks, at least most banks that I know, are more than happy to take your government securities as collateral. If you ask me, it's actually the best sort of collateral. It's better than a land title. Why? Because it's as good as cash. It's 100% backed by government. So in a nutshell, those are some of the advantages. We can talk even more, but I think these are the key ones that I wanted to highlight. And then lastly, my last slide, real quick, who invests in government securities? So of course, commercial banks invest quite a bit. It's also a statutory requirement by Bank of Uganda to have a certain percentage of their assets in liquid assets, and treasury bills, treasury bonds form these. Insurance companies as well, individuals, companies, government agencies, pension funds. We know we have, for example, NSF Uganda, the biggest pension fund in East and Central Africa. I think they own maybe slightly below 50% of outstanding stock of government bonds, and offshore investors. I think with offshore investors, I'd like to touch on that a bit, especially now more, okay, not more than before, but Uganda right now is a really popular destination for offshore investors, especially looking post-COVID. So over the last 6 months, we've seen a huge increase in offshore investors coming in. If you look at frontier markets in Africa, there are probably 4 destinations that they're looking at. They're looking at Egypt, which is the huge market, Ghana, South Africa, and in East Africa, it's actually Uganda. Why? Because the rate of return is really high as 16, 17%. We know that inflation is low. The March inflation numbers came out yesterday. Inflation is only 4.1%, up from 3.8% in February. So the real return is really attractive. 4% inflation, you're locking in 1 year bill at 12%. That's a no-brainer. And the other has also been our currency. Our currency has been quite resilient and has been really stable. So we've seen a huge increase in offshore investors. Just to give you some stats, they own about 8% total outstanding stock, which is about $500 million worth. So it's quite a bit of interest coming in from offshores. So I think, Salma, I'll stop there. This is just a very brief highlight of what government securities are, and I guess we would then be available for the Q&A. Thank you.
Benoni, thank you very much. Thank you very much for those insightful, starting us off that way. I think it was a very good way to give us a good understanding of what government securities are and how exactly they work, and how one can benefit from them. I'd like to move on to the next speaker, and also to our attendees, to our participants. Please use your Q&A and your chat tabs to interact with us in case you have any questions from anything that Benoni covered or something was unclear. Please use those 2 tabs to reach out and ask any questions. We'll attend to them a few minutes from now. Without further ado, I'd like to call on our next speaker, who heads the Fixed Income and Operations Department at one of the licensed stock brokerage firms in Uganda, Crested Capital. She has 8 years working experience and has worked on several public and private transactions with the roles of sales, operations, and technical expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Susan Namaganda to speak to us. Susan, you're welcome to start off.
Thank you so much, Salma, for the invitation from the Uganda Securities Exchange in regards to this webinar. I also want to congratulate the former speaker, that is Benoni, on the presentation, and it's about to work hand in hand with Central Bank. So this morning I was asked in regards to the bond investment process that Benoni shared on what government securities are and the benefits that are to the investors. So our securities exchange investors, what do you do to be able to access? Because traditionally, you have known that if you want to buy any government securities, you either go directly to the Bank of Uganda and open up a CDS account. However, it will be attached still back to the bank that will help you process any transactions that you would want. So now we have since moved away from that a bit, because now we are in partnership with what? With the Uganda Securities Exchange, which has now also come in on board to be able to do this and be able to reach as many people as possible. We know that our depository, maybe Musinguzi will confirm for us that I think we over have 20,000 investors. And you find that over these 20,000 investors need access to these products, and it has been somewhat a challenge for them to access. So we are another avenue that we can be able to deliver these products to our clients. So in addition to the equities, we shall also have the fixed income. And actually, maybe to highlight, the fixed income is also not new to the Uganda Securities Exchange, because on a yearly basis, the Bank of Uganda lists its securities on the Uganda Securities Exchange. So they are there, but they haven't been trading. So now we are saying that now there is an opportunity that someone with an SCD account at the Uganda Securities Exchange has an opportunity to have both their equities, that is their shares, if you have stocks in Umeme and Stanbic and all these other companies that you have been buying from your brokers, to also reflect alongside the government bonds that you will have procured through your brokers. So Salma had asked me to share on what the process is. What are you going to encounter as you go to your brokerage firm? What will you need to do to be able to access these services? So I think you are able to see my slides, isn't it? I think I've shared. I think you're able to
Yes,
view.
Susan, you're able to view.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
So just like what I had briefly touched a bit, the Uganda Securities Exchange received a no objection from Bank of Uganda. That is our central bank. That is where that is the one that is in charge on behalf of the Ministry of Finance to be able to issue these securities to the investing public. So we received a no objection from them as the USE. And so brokers that are able to take on are there. That is Crested Capital, Dan Blair, UAP Financials. If you approached any of these brokers right now, it would be possible for you to buy government securities. And this we started in partnership with Centenary Bank, that was selected by the Uganda Securities Exchange to be our primary dealer for all the brokerage firms. So this began on the 17th of December 2020. And saying who is eligible, who can be able to participate. Everyone. I think Benoni already shared the types of investors that can be able to invest. Now in our depository, we have companies, we have institutes, we have circles, a large number of them, we have individuals, which are the biggest number. So anyone can invest in our market as long as you're eligible, as long as the UC says that a local investor, as an institution, you can come, a partnership, you can come, a circle, you can come, and IEF means for those who want to buy for their children, please do come. It's possible for joint accounts, for spouse, it's very, very possible. So please come. Your accounts are able to, or you're able to online actually right now. I think Bob has launched the US Easy portal, and now clients can open their accounts remotely as long as you have your national ID and your passport photos. I think very soon they'll be launching the ones for companies and foreigners. So really, it's going to be as easy as possible. You just log into there, open your account, choose your broker, and then start transacting. What is the minimum amount to invest for an investor? We are saying 100,000 because the government says the minimum is 100. So we're also starting at 100,000. So we don't want our investors to share. We're saying, oh, you know, government securities are full with billions of shillings, with millions of money. No, as low as 100,000, you can begin. Noni highlighted government securities are a form of savings. So guess what? If I know that Susan and I'm an individual and I can be able to put away 100,000 on a monthly basis, then what am I going to do? I'm going to save away 100,000. At the end of the year, I would have saved up in government securities 1.2 million. So that means each month I have a security that I am buying. So that means each security is maturing at different periods of time at different rates of interest. So instead of always saying, oh no, let me wait for the money to accumulate, you can buy as much as you can. You can buy twice a month, you can buy once a month. You can decide to buy every day because there is an active second market. So 100,000 is a minimum. If you have more, well and good. Yeah. So I encourage all our investors. So what is the investor process flow for you to be able to access this security? So put up a small process flow, which I'll explain in detail. So step one, I'm imagining Susan is a first-time investor or an existing investor, but I will go a first-time investor who has never come to the Uganda Securities Exchange, has never opened an account. So you'll go to the USE website and go into the easy portal and start opening up an account. If better still, you want to approach a specific broker to take you through it, please. The brokers are available, our contacts are available on the USE website. We almost all brokers now have active social media pages and company websites where they can talk to the investors. So please reach out and say, you know what, I would want you to be my broker. You know, it's usually better to first get even more knowledge about the products you're going to invest in. Once you have got the knowledge, then they'll guide you to the SCD portal, and then you'll be able to open up your SCD account. Once you've opened up your SCD account, it will be activated by your broker. Once the broker has activated that account, then the USE will go ahead to approve it. Immediately, messages will come into your email that account has been activated, approved by Uganda Securities Exchange, and an SCD number will be given to you. Now, once you have got that, then you approach the broker that you selected in the SCD, because now you are attached to a specific broker. You are reach out to them, ask them for the details. The details are meaning like the bank details. Where do we deposit this money to be able to buy the government securities? So each broker has a holding account. So they'll be able to provide you with a client account to be able to deposit the money. And also further still, you know, government securities are not like equities. You know, equities, it's very, equities, it's prices known that, you know, today at 26, at 27. However, with government securities, we can use the current rates in the market. Like, for example, we had auction last week, it was at 11.5. So you can go ahead and ask your broker, you know what, there was an auction at 11.5. Could you value for me this amount of money? And you see what could be the tentative. Of course, 11.5 is not guaranteed in the next auction. However, it can be a tentative picture of what you aim to earn for the different periods. So they'll be able to share that investment advice back to you. Once you're satisfied, go ahead, deposit your money and give the instructions to place for you the security in whatever, whether it's secondary market or the auction, whatever you'd have agreed upon, whatever options that the broker will have availed to you, the one that you have selected, give clear instructions for what you want to buy. And then after that, the step two will be that now the broker will organize all the paperwork and submit to the Uganda Securities Exchange, saying that Susan wants to place for this period. And then this is the amount she's placing for. The USC will go ahead to work together with Centenary Bank to ensure that they get these instructions. Once they get these instructions, then the USE will submit, and then the Centenary Bank will be able to execute. Once execution is done, then results will be given back to us. The brokers are able to share with you the results, like, you know what, this is what from in regards to an auction, this is what we got, and this is the rate you're taking. And then for a secondary market trade, for it, it's actually you've already agreed to the rate, because your broker will be like, this is the rate in the market, and this is what I've negotiated. Can I go ahead and buy for you? If you say it's okay, go ahead and buy, so already you know how much actually you're buying and how much you're spending. And so a trade confirmation will be given to you for treasury bills and bonds when it's an auction. Usually the auctions are every Wednesday. On the Wednesday close of business, your broker should be able to share back the results. And then on Thursday, they should be able to share with you the trade confirmations. That is the contract notes. Market mandates us for every transaction that is done on behalf of clients. you have to release a trade confirmation. So the contract notes will be sent to the individual client emails, and also now the securities, once confirmed and sent out, will now equally be loaded into your SCD account. The beauty is that you may only share that the secondary market available. We can trade on the exchange online here. Our ATS is the same system that trades the equities. If you're in need of money and you want to exit, it's very, very possible. Put in an order, ask for your broker what is the rate, what are they currently able to buy at, and then the broker advise, because it's mostly to see, am I leaving with a benefit or am I leaving a loss? So it will all go back to the one-on-one discussions that you're having with your brokers, specifically concerning your transactions. So they are very liquid securities. It is not equities whereby sometimes there are challenges, especially now we are in result declaration. You find that most of our companies haven't maybe done so well. So probably now the buyers are not on the other end, and so sellers want to exit and not be able. The bond market is a little bit different. It is a very liquid market. There is always a buyer. It's all a matter of negotiating and agreeing to it. And for investors, I encourage you, please ask your brokers for all the information, and all the brokers are going to be as open as possible in regards to these transactions. So the important timelines I wanted to highlight there were that the primary market auctions are every 2 weeks. So that means every 2 weeks, government is doing like an IPO. Yeah, this is an IPO for bonds, so they're issuing a new security every 2 weeks. That is in regards to treasury bills. For bonds is once a month. So you will find that, for example, in the month of April, we shall have on the 15th of April, we shall be having a bond auction for the 5-year bond. So in the event that you're interested in buying a 5-year bond, it's available. Next week after Easter, on Tuesday, we are submitting for the treasury bill auction on Wednesday. So make sure that your money is with you by Monday, yeah, of business and all the instructions. So by Tuesday, doing last minute conciliations to be able to serve to the bank. The results will be shared back on Wednesday. Be able to get close of business, your brokers, for all successful clients. Then trade confirmations, like I said, on Thursday when money is being taken, equally you're receiving your contract notes. Then the securities will be deposited in the investor's SCB account. And I think Bob will be highlighting more on that. Then the secondary market trades can happen during the 5 days of the week. So every day is trading. So I encourage you to come on board. Please diversify. I know investors have been saying, what more can you give us as the USE? The stock market is a little bit volatile for us. We have money. We are now holding out. What else can we be able to invest in? And thank God this has now come on board, and now you are able to, you have now another product that you can use to reduce on the risk that is in the equities. Maybe to highlight, equities are for people, they gain a lot of money. You know, I think some of you must have enjoyed umeme benefits, like when umeme reached as high as 550 shillings, when the DFCUs DFCU stock was as high as 1,100 shillings. It was really a good time. People were making money. People were exiting at very good yields. But now the story, you know, it's a cycle in the stock market. Now we are in that cycle whereby we are down a bit, and it's because we are waiting on one decision or another, concession here, COVID there, and everything. So in the meantime, just like Benoni has highlighted, that now the whole world is looking towards Egypt, Uganda for the government securities as a way of saving some of their money that they wouldn't want to lose. I would also encourage our investors, look at your investment portfolio, say, you know what am I willing to put away in equities? Because even this time it's still a good for buyers. It's a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. But then what is the biggest chunk of my money? Because usually we encourage about 20% of your savings, 10 to 20 at most should be in the equities. Then about 8 to 90%, then that money can be in the government securities, because you don't want to lose a single shilling. You have squeeze today, or you want to build a house. Tomorrow you have a child that is getting married. So you're not going to come and rush like, I sell maybe because I have school fees to pay. No. However, you can have the government securities. As the shares are not doing well, the government securities are bailing you out. I told you can buy at any time as long as you have the money. So you can have as many securities maturing at different periods. So that means if you're stuck at any one point, you're like, Susan, that money that was coming next week, I wanted to reinvest it, but pay me. It is only the other next month that you can reinvest back. Okay? So things like that, it will be like as if it's your savings account, but you determine which money you use, how you reinvest it. It's all up to you, the investor. I'd like to stop here and wait on your questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan, for those that insightful presentation. Thank you for taking us through the detailed process on how you can participate, and also highlighting on the upcoming auctions to give participants perspective on how soon they can get started with investing here. Without further ado, I'd like to call on our last speaker. Susan, if you could stop sharing.
Sorry. Okay, thank
you. Thank you very much, Susan. I'd like to speak to or call on to our next speaker. He is representing the CEO of the Uganda Securities Exchange, who was unable to join us for this particular webinar due to another engagement. He is the manager, depository services at the Uganda Securities Exchange, and he has over 6 years working experience in the financial industry. Please welcome with me, Mr. Bob Musinguzi. Bob, I'm going to put up your presentation.
Okay, Salma, thank you very much. And to our members and the audience, we appreciate your taking off time to attend to this. My job, or whatever I was supposed to talk about, has been really simplified by the very competent and able speakers who presented before me. So Susan, thanks a lot for that clear guidance and elaboration. Benoni, I think, is an authority on our industry, especially in the fixed income space. So you won't get anybody better placed to guide than Benoni. So Salma, we can start the presentation. Okay, so if we can start from our background. So the Security Exchange has been in existence for over the last 23 years. And our goal and our vision, as has been shared by Salma, is we aim to be the leading source of capital and investments. So for the last 23 years, we have been mainly fixing or dealing with the equities. They are good sources of investment that, and they will multiply your money in folds. But notwithstanding, like any investment, it has its pros and cons. But given our vision, we have taken on board the fixed income sector, especially the government securities. Salma, if we can go to the next screen, with the intention that we continue giving you options as we achieve our vision and goal of being the place when you're thinking of investment, it has to be the place to be. It's the Uganda Securities Exchange. So Salma, please. So the biggest reason is we want to give you an option to spread, to diversify. I think that's the technical word we have been using. So the idea is, yes, as much as what we have been having, the equities have been good, they have made people money, but they also have their dynamics that you have to live with. So you'll find sometimes the markets are up, sometimes the markets are down. All of us have our own individual characteristics. Equities will work for people who have a certain level of risk tolerance. There are some of us who say, okay, you know what, the first question somebody tells you, invest your money, you ask is, what can go wrong? So here, as Benoni clearly put it, you are assured. Government is perpetual. So you're assured that the government of Uganda is here until, I think for lack of a better word, kingdom comes. So you're sure you will always be paid. If they have said the return is 10%, and that's what you've signed up, you will get your 10%. If they say it's periodic, it has a tenor, so you will know when your money is coming back. So you can plan for that. And then above all is you can still have your money and still use it as collateral. I think that's the most important bit. All of us at one time or somewhere, you want to have funds to do some development. Invest your money, it's there earning for you. And on this side, it's also getting you money for funding the projects or whatever venture you're looking at. So this has driven our desire and our partnerships with Benoni and Centenary Bank and with Susan and other brokers who are on board for this particular service. So we encourage you. It's starting trading, as Susan took you through, is simple. It's a click away. Actually, Salma, if it's possible, you could just take them through how easily and convenient it is to open an account. And then they start trading in this fixed income. So we'll take you just through a very simple clip. Okay, Salma, thank you very much. So as we have seen, there are just 10 easy steps. We will still share them with the document for this engagement. In the interest of time, we had to kind of make it a bit fast, but we will share it. It's available on our website, 10 easy steps. All you need is an email address, your details, a national ID, and your face, which I'm very sure all of us move with, and you can take a selfie. If your connection is very smooth, it will take you less than 10 minutes to set up. So I'm very sure 10 minutes of our day or an hour would be well spent. Open up this account. Susan took you through. You will be in position to start with as little as 100,000. Maybe me to our audience is saving is a habit. Of course, most of us will say it's hard to save, but the more you start it and the more regular you do it, and this gives you a very opportune bit, because every 2 weeks, as Susan was telling you, there is an opportunity for investing in a treasury bill. Every month, once a month, there's an opportunity to participate in a T-bond. And any day you want to buy in the security on the secondary market, Monday to Friday, provided there are no public holidays, you will be good and the opportunity will be there. So I encourage you, take a step today, open your account. Really, it's not lots of millions or what. Start, like every journey, one step at a time. 100,000, 100,000. Like the way we are advised by the doctors that if you exercise daily, it becomes a habit, your health improves. So start saving today, invest, and build your investment muscles and your financial health. I can tell you will never take a wrong turn again, because it will be a habit, and the things you've been aspiring to do, you'll start seeing them. They're just the next step or just a corner away. So Salma, if we can go, I believe, to the last screen. So for us, we are here to inspire you to grow and meet your needs, meet your goals, improve your financial health. So please, we are a click away, we are a call away. Let's start you on this journey, diversify your portfolio and grow financially. And that is what we are here to do for you. So we thank you for the time, and let's allow and attend to the questions as Salma will guide us. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob, for that. I know we've overshot our time by about 6 minutes, so I will allow for just 4 extra minutes. Please give us about 4 extra minutes of your time to quickly go through the questions. This video, along with those steps of how to open up your SCD account, will be uploaded on our YouTube channels, and so you could go there for further reference in case you need any further clarification on what we have covered today. The links to the video will also be on all of our social media platforms for you to be able to access and also provide a point of reference. Quickly, I'd like for us to go over go through some of the questions that have come through. Some have been covered by the panelists or during the panelist presentations, but for example, Jethro, I think Susan covered the procedure for how to invest. In case there's any more clarity needed, you will or you can reach out to us and we will guide further. Caroline, Anna, I will I'll give Susan a chance to actually reach out to you and also cover and answer this particular question. Gilbert Guma asking about what the key advantage of going through a broker or USE over the direct application is. Susan, I don't know if you have a minute. You can have a minute to cover that.
Come again, Salma?
Gilbert Guma's question, is there a key advantage of going through a broker over a direct application through the bank?
I think our main advantage on our end that I see is that we are able to serve at any levels, like in regards to the money. 100,000 on the minimum. I personally has had, before even I ever started working, just fixed income, to know that if you're going to buy government treasuries, if you have 100,000, you may not be someone who would be taken on, because the minimum is 100,000, yet maybe the placement fee at the bank is about 20,000, 15,000, because all different banks charge different placement fees. So you find that if you're a person of 100,000, you even that 20,000 or 10,000 placement could actually maybe be a interest, and so that means you're not earning, the cost is a bit higher. And so I would understand for a client who is maybe frustrated on that front. However, with us, the 100,000, you come because we pay the placement fee on your behalf, because for us we are commission based. So we will pay for it. The person of 100,000 will not feel the pinch, because I think on our commission levels, it's just 120, maybe 25 shillings or 250 shillings thereabout. So you find that for the small holders, that's the edge that we have over the banks. And also maybe accessibility, that now that the USC has started up with an easy portal and everything, so there is an environment where people can easily access their security securities are, and they're able to view that, what, I have this security, I have the shares, so the entire portfolio. So I believe, and also the investment advice that we shall give, because all the brokers are dedicated to ensure that they educate and they take all the clients through every process. How much am I getting? When am I getting it? So we're able to offer that. Yeah. So I would say that
Thank you,
those maybe are the key
Susan.
advantages.
Thank you very much, Susan. Benoni, could you quickly cover, where one goes to know government securities? That's Alan Baguma's question. I think it's connected to Colin's question. When is the best time to buy? What factors does one consider? Maybe a minute to just cover those two questions. Benoni?
Thanks, Salma. So where does one go to get information on government securities? Outside of platforms like this, you can always go to your nearest Tinnery Bank branch, where we have physical pamphlets that you can pick up and gives the details of what they are, what they mean. Of course, the Bank of Uganda website, I'm sure the USC website, and really many places. I'm sure there's primary dealer banks as well. So getting more information should be readily available. If you're having any issues, then please feel free to reach out. I think Salma and the team can share my contacts, and then we can discuss this further. As far as the best time to buy, well, it depends. It depends. So we know that ideally, when one invests in government securities, you invest when interest rates are at the highest point. But we know that interest rates up and down depending on market conditions. So really, it also depends on what you're looking to do. Are you looking to lock in, say, and just leave the money and let it just sit there? Or are you looking to actually trade and arbitrage the market? Anytime that you invest is where the market is. At times, interest rates are low when there's maybe excess liquidity or sentiment points to it, or when interest rates are high, say government needs to borrow more from the public and it's kind of jacked the rates up. Or you can say in a high inflation environment where the Bank of Uganda, through its monetary policy tool, the central bank, has hiked interest rates. And you typically see all interest rates across the market, whether prime lending rates, but also in government securities, they also go up. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. I still think that no matter where the market is, no matter where interest rates are, they are comparatively higher for comparative comparative instruments. So, but if I was to, I mean, you can look at past historical performance of interest rates. Ironically, they typically tend to go up around, say, election periods or the run up to election, among other things. But there's many factors. Like I said, inflation, the central bank rate, what's happening in the region, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've answered it, but I know I haven't answered it. But anyway, it really depends on you.
Salma, if I could just throw in an interesting side. I think
Yes,
the
Bob.
best time to invest is now. You need to start investing, because if you don't start, you will never invest. So the best time, including what Benoni was talking about, the best time is now and start.
Yeah,
Then
interest
when you
rates, by the way,
start,
just to supplement that, we're currently in a high interest rate environment, especially when you're looking at treasury bonds. I think if you look at the historical levels, we're closer to the top of where they've been, especially when you look at, like, say, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, and now 20-year bond. So I would advise lock in now. It's a good time to invest.
Thank you very much, Benoni and Bob. Bob, I'll give you a minute to cover Colin, and there's another attendee who was asking about whether it's possible to change the SCD account broker, and is it possible to open an account and invest without having to choose a broker? Please take a minute to just cover that. Bob?
Okay. So you're free as an investor at the exchange to transact with any of our brokers. It's your choice. Then, and you can transfer if for whatever reason you feel broker A you want to go to broker B, you will go to broker B and they will help you with that process. We encourage it. You need to be comfortable with whoever you're transacting with. Then Salma, sorry, I think I've lost the second one.
The second
question
one was whether you are able to open up an SCD account without having to choose a broker.
Okay, no, the way our market is currently set up is that you would have to transact through a broker. But what I can advise, I think the person who requested for that question is, we are working on certain interventions that will enable you to, okay, I think I'm letting the cat out of the basket, but we would be having more self-enabled channels where you can come direct to the market. So the intention is we want to reach you wherever you are as easily and as conveniently as possible. So these are some of the good things and the good news you'll be getting from the exchange in the not so long future. So we look forward to that and to enable you to have your investments at your fingertips.
Hey, thank you, Bob. And maybe as to close us off for all of our three panelists, we'll close off with Robert's question, which is a better investment, Uganda Government Securities with the USE or online trading, Forex or Bitcoin? Benoni, do you want to start us off?
So he said online trading?
Online Forex trading, yes.
Forex, Bitcoin, or govies, right?
Yes.
Okay. Look, this is my personal view. People have different views. I'm more probably risk averse, but just looking at it from a general perspective, Bitcoin is really, really new. It's an unregulated market. And when he says Bitcoin, I'll probably put cryptocurrency, everything, lump them together. It's still really, really new. We've seen the price of Bitcoin rally to like 50,000. It's extremely volatile, but it's unregulated and it's high risk. Of course, if you talk to most people, there's a high risk reward correlation. But personally for me, I just don't have enough information yet to kind of put my money in there. And when you look at the total outstanding volume of Bitcoin, it's about $1 trillion, which if you look globally, that's a really small percentage. Though I am cognizant of the fact that the way the world is moving, it's digital payments, you know, they're cutting out the middleman. So that's the new wave. And I won't even talk about this. Many cryptocurrencies that are doing quite well. So for now, for me, I wouldn't, but I do understand those who are able to take on more risk would dive into it. But like I said, it's not a regulated market yet, so one must be cautious. As far as Forex trading, I get that question a lot. There are a lot of people who are saying they're doing Forex trading online. Again, look, we do Forex trading as a business, and it's, you know, without the proper system, without the proper research, also depending on the currency pair you're trading, it's highly volatile. If you're not an expert, if you're not trained, I would stay away. Which leaves me to the third option, govies, which I think is risk-free, no-brainer, safe, invest in it today. Not because we're talking about it in this forum, but I also think it's really attractive, especially in Uganda. Our interest rates are relatively higher. It's our macroeconomic situation is super attractive. We have a strong central bank. I just think I would go with govies for me. The less risky option, but yet the safer and relatively higher return option as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Benoni. And I think in a way you answered Colin Luchamu's question of whether there's a risk of rates falling to negative territory in that. Bob, what are your thoughts around Robert's question?
It's an interesting question. I believe Benoni has dealt with the fundamentals. For me, what I would have to add is what is good for me might not be what is good for Susan or Benoni. Our reasons can be different. I could be looking at saying, okay, you know what, I have maybe 10 years to educate my kid. I don't want to put that money at risk. Government securities would be the perfect. my risk tolerance could be really zero. I fear risk. If they talk about risk, I go in the opposite direction. Maybe that would take me to the government securities, as Benoni was alluding to. If I don't fear risk, and this guy who is asking, where are the most returns? Maybe I would look at the other possibilities. And then what knowledge do I have about investing, as I was talking in regards to Forex trading? You find my knowledge is at zero and I want to take on Forex investing, then honestly, I'm headed for a head-on collision somewhere along the way. So these are the things that will determine which direction you take. So motive, knowledge, and maybe experience and your risk tolerance will always determine what is good for you or what is not good for you. Because you also don't want to go for huge returns when you're all the time awake, you can't sleep. So I'm not sure that would be the perfect investment for you. So I think, Salma, that's for me.
Thank you very much, Bob. And lastly, but not least, Susan, what are your views around the same question?
I think my views have been shared by both Bob and Benoni, but just to add, it's very easy for us to always go away from what we have here in our space. Yeah, you encounter an investor, they have never invested in Uganda. They have never invested, whether it's with their bank or the Uganda Securities Exchange, but they tell you they want to go to Nairobi and Tanzania. And you're like, do you know what is in Tanzania? What is in, or in Nairobi? What do you know the environment? Have you consulted anyone? Are you going to have all the information that you need? Like, no, Kenya is a better market. Here in Uganda, we are chaotic and everything. Eh? So you find that someone is without knowledge willing to go into another market and invest their hard-earned money with no bearing to the risk. So for me, I always ask the investors, start here, start with what we have, because what we have is training ground, because these other things like Bitcoins and everything are all going to be just an upgrade. Because should you know how to easily trade Forex in your own country, yeah, in Uganda, thank God most of the Forex, I think, platforms are online, and I think there is now more training that is going out there. But the thing is that before it was a risky business, but now it's starting to get less riskier, but still it is risky. So I say, if it is, you want to start buying shares in companies, first start with the ones in Uganda. If it is government securities, start with the ones in Uganda. Then as this trains you and educates you about how the operations work, customer service, what should I expect? Then that means if you want me to take you to Kenya, because we are able to also take you to Kenya, we have partnerships there. Then you have learned what is being done here in Uganda, and then we go over to the other side. For Bitcoin, this is my opinion, I strictly discourage it for now, because it's not regulated. We don't know how it works. You just hear that there are people that own the money. It's an end-to-end encryption, so you do not know the other party you're dealing with. So I encourage you, just start with what we have, because there is safety. If for example, we fail to pay you a coupon, like Benoni shared that there are coupons being paid on bonds, you have somewhere to go and report. You can go to report to the Uganda Securities Exchange, you can escalate to the Capital Markets Authority, you can further escalate back to the central bank, and you're like, Banange, my broker has refused to pay me my coupon. But now you're going to Kenya, to another market, you're going to buy a Bitcoin. Who are you going to escalate to in the event that you don't get a payment? So it is about how easy it is to get your money in and out of those systems. For me, I'll look at that. So investors, let's start with what is at home. Let's support our government securities are very strong. Our companies here are very strong. Let's support them. And then let's also, as we are supporting them, let's also earn from them. And that is why your broker is there, to actually help you, to ask you, Alan, how much money do you have? I have 1 million. When do you expect this money back? You tell me, I need my 800K safe, 200K. Then I can be like, let me now help you disseminate this money into that various investments. Once you have learned, yeah, then we can take you to the other markets. Then you can join those Bitcoins as the regulators are working on the different regulations surrounding those things. Yeah, so I know sometimes we want to, to be very unique from other people, but sometimes that uniqueness it's just for a waste of time. It injures us more. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. You also managed to cover Enabu Collins was asking whether it's possible to access these, government securities, but for other countries. I think Susan has advocated for Buy Uganda, Build Uganda quite well, and use this as a starting point. Alan Baguma, I see a question on how do bonds compare to fixed deposit and unit trust rates. I think that has been covered in earlier discussions, but please, maybe I could get your contact and then we could have further this discussion offline. Thank you very much to all of our participants for indulging with us. We've overshot our time, so I really need to close and end it here. But this webinar is what's ending right now. Let's keep the conversation going on all of our social media platforms, the Centenary Bank social media platforms, and the Uganda Securities Exchange social media platforms. Benoni, Becky, you would like Benoni's contact, please reach out to meetings at use.or.ug so that we can share that with you privately. I know most of the participants also requested for the presentations. These will be shared to the email addresses that you use to register for this particular webinar. As all of the panelists have mentioned, please start now. Do not wait for tomorrow. Start now or start investing immediately. And of course, even before you invest, make sure you are investing through the right people and getting the right professional advice. I'd like to thank our partners, the Centenary Bank, for working with us for this particular webinar. I'd like to appreciate all of our panelists, all of our partner brokers for this particular trading. Thank you very much. Susan and the Crested team, thank you so much for ensuring that we have this session. Bob, thank you very much. And to our participants, thank you so much for giving us your time. Please continue this conversation or the video will be posted on our YouTube platform, and the links to that YouTube platform will be available on all of our social media platforms. So thank you very much to all of our participants. I'd like to, I think it's not too early to say Happy Easter, and look forward to engaging with you in the investment environment and growing your money, and we will continue to inspire growth at the Uganda Securities Exchange. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.